I'll let you know. Look, you know the Bible says, children, honor your father and your mother.
And then it says,
but guess what? Don't guess what? Honor is reciprocal.
Because it says for parents not to provoke your children. But a lot of times that is neglected. Like, you can't talk to me like that. I'm your father, I'm your mother. That's true. Your children should not dishonor you, but neither should you dishonor them. So this is for parents. How can you honor your kids? 1, be a good example. What is the story of your life? How are you living your life? Do you tell them one thing and you act out another thing? Because you see, it's not follow, when it comes to children, it's not do what I say, it's do what I do. You can tell children to do what I say, but if they see that what you say does not match up with what you're doing, they're not going to follow you. So if you want your children to do what you say, you must make sure that what you say is what you're doing. So you need to be a good example. Number 2, you need to speak kindly and gently to kids. You need to instruct kids properly and calmly, explaining expectations and consequences ahead of time. Teach children God's word, teachable moments, and pray with them. Now I know some of you can say, oh wow, I don't speak kindly to my children all the time. I don't explain expectations to them because sometimes they do things, they annoy me and they drive me and I yell at them. Right here.
We do too.
Guilty here, guilty. If I can raise both hands and both legs, I will.
We do
and
too.
my children are here to testify. But you know what we do when that happens? We call them and we apologize. Mom and dad spoke to you, shouldn't have spoken to you that way. We messed up, we missed it, we're sorry. Please forgive us. Are you too big to ask your children to forgive you? Then that's not right. You ought to be able to speak to your children when you mess up and you miss it, and to apologize to them.
You know, one of the tricks in raising kids is this, and I believe we've missed out on it as parents. We try to present this picture of perfection for kids. That daddy and mommy are perfect. But guess what? You're setting them up for failure. Because you are not perfect. But how are children going to learn to cope with their imperfections except they see how you cope with your imperfections? I hear people say sometimes, you know, and they think this is supposed to be something great. Oh, I never saw my daddy and my mommy argue or quarrel. What a crock. I'll stop there. I never saw my daddy and mommy argue. You know why? Because your daddy and your mommy were not real. They always argued in private. Let me tell you something. How your kids are going to grow up with the expectation of perfection, and then when they're not able to meet up with that in reality, they think that there's something wrong with them, and they begin to feel guilty. Listen, if you argue before your kids, that's okay. Just make sure you make up before your kids. So you teach them that, listen, you may argue, but this is how you recover from that. This is how you deal with that. If you yell at each other, go back. Don't do it in private when they can't see anything. Do it before them. To apologize, say, babe, I'm sorry for doing that. So they grow up knowing that even if I may argue with my wife or yell at her, I go back and I apologize to her. It's a teachable moment.
But let me come in right there and say this, because sometimes what you call arguing, when we disagree, is not always the case with some people. Sometimes things are really crazy, and hands are flying and feet are flying.
I'm not saying you do crazy stuff.
So that's not what we're talking about. You don't want to do that. We don't do that. We've never done that by the grace of God. Not once.
But the point is this: you have to let children learn both from your strengths and how to recover when they miss it. Children need to learn how to recover when they miss it. Who are they going to learn that from? From you.
I mean, as much as possible, when you have differences and you want to talk, and you see that an argument is starting to get heated between both parties, then someone needs to be the bigger person, and you need to exercise self-control and restraint and say, let's talk about this later, because you don't really want the children to get affected. So that is there, but what he's just trying to say is that when we shouldn't, try to put up a picture of perfection, that mom and dad never argue, everything is always perfect. No, you do argue, but when you argue, you need to be able to resolve it appropriately.
And since we're talking about that, we're going to get to this later, but how many realize that kids come out from the womb knowing nothing? They have to learn everything. And since we're talking about relationships, I wanted to say this just in case we don't have time for it. We miss it as parents many times because we don't teach our kids by example how to do relationships, because they don't see us. I'll talk about that later. Okay. All right. Let's finish the honor roll. All right, for kids. All right.
Now for children, how many children are here?
Children,
if you're a child, let me see
raise your hands. Raise your hands in the air and wave them like you just do care. Praise God.
Amen.
Praise God.
Now, God gives us instructions. He says, children, obey your parents, honor your father and your mother in the Lord, for this is right, so that it may be well with you, and you may live long on the face of the earth. Now, you need to understand, if you're going to be a success in life, the kind of respect and honor that you show to your parents will determine how successful you will be. So if you do not regard your parents, and you don't respect them, and you don't honor them, and you don't care for them, then it's not going to be well with you. And I'm not just speaking to young children today. I'm speaking to adults. I'm speaking to people that have moms, that have dads, that are 60, 70, 40, 50, 60. I'm speaking to you. As children, you have a responsibility to look out and take care of your parents. I'm not just talking to the young children, because there are many people that don't even have a relationship with their mom and dad because of something that happened in the past. You are living in unforgiveness. You don't care about your parents. It's not going to be well with you. You are not going to live long on the face of the earth. So you need to repent. You need to take a step back. You need to go make up with your parents. You need to look out for them. You need to make sure your mom and your dad are doing okay. You need to help them out in whatever way you can. Provide for them in whatever way you can, because that is God's way of blessing you. But when I talk to young children now, I'll say this to you as young children. When your parents call you, in order to help maintain that good relationship between you and your parents, so you don't have parents yelling at you and screaming all the time, when parents call you as young children, you need to answer right away and come to your parents when you are called. When do you come? You answer right away.
Hello, parents. You listen too. You have to expect and require this of your kids. When I call you, you answer the first time. And when you answer, don't just answer and stay where you are. You answer and come to where I am. You call. Billy! Yes! What?
Yes is nice.
What? What?
In whose house?
You and who is what? Me what? You got problems, boy. You don't want me. When I call you, you say yes, daddy, and you show up promptly.
So true.
You know why this is important? Listen, let me say something to you. You know why this is important? If you remember that you are training children for God, do you realize that if you train your kids not to answer you the first time, they will grow up and God will speak to them and they will ignore God. they will not obey God right away. They will not obey God right away because they are used and trained to wait until somebody yells or screams. And you know God don't yell. So if you don't listen, he'll just leave you and you'll be languishing and floundering. But because he loves you, he will come back again in that still small voice and say, son. And you ignore him. Hello? We got to raise our kids right and raise with the mindset that one day these children, their lives will depend on them hearing the voice of God and responding when?
Right away.
Right away.
Amen.
Amen.
So answer right away and come to your parent when you're called. Listen carefully to instructions and corrections. Maintain a good attitude. You know, I always tell my kids, especially Ori, my son, there are times when he's doing certain things and I tell him to do otherwise and he doesn't feel good about it and he has a bad attitude. And I tell him, I know you may not feel good about wanting to do what I've told you to do, but if you sit down and you think about what you're being told to do, you'll understand that it's for your own benefit. So you got to put up a good attitude. So when thoughts are coming to your head about, well, my parents are just stressing me, you know what you just say? So Lord, I thank you that I have parents that love me and want me to turn out right. And it worked. And then you will come back later and say, you know what, Mom, I'm sorry for having a bad attitude. But don't tolerate a bad attitude from your kids. You got to call them out on it right away. Don't talk to your kids and they're talking back at you. That is wrong. It is unacceptable. It's not pleasing before God.
Or you talk to them and say,
and then they go and they slam the door.
and then you go to their room and slam the door. Bah! You and me, we're going to wear the same pant today.
It's not right.
In whose house? Whose door are you slamming?
It's not right.
Who are you? You are frowning at me? When did we become age mates?
That's right. Amen.
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 But this is serious stuff, guys. Your parents you gotta man up and woman up and raise those kids right. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Woo! Glory to God. Hello. You know what? Always remember this.
Amen.
What you're doing and allowing and tolerating from your kids and letting them let it slide, it's positioning them for how they will react and behave with God. Because you are the only God your children will know at first. So the way they respect you is the way they will respect God. The way they listen to you is the way they will listen to God. The way their attitude towards you will be their attitude towards God. So when God tells them to do something, they may be obedient, but they are not willing. Well, I'll go. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the fruit of the land.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.